Barry Trotz, trade deadline day, practice is over. Are you going to go home, put your feet up, and watch the coverage, or what do you do? Do you enjoy trade deadline day?
I sit there and usually do my work, and I usually listen to all the experts with all the rumors. The one thing that is common at trade deadline, there's a lot more rumors than. And you see guys' face up there, and I'm like, I know he's not getting traded, but they say he's getting traded, and that poor kid is going through practice, and
he's seeing the tweets or hearing about it.
Yeah. So it's tough on players, especially. I always think that on a lot of teams, there's probably about half of the guys are very secure, knowing where they fit on the team or contract, what have you, and then the other half are a little bit nervous, and then some don't need to be nervous, but they are. It's just human nature.
It's a psychology thing. It's a mental game that gets played on trade deadline day. Well, you took a second before practice today to talk to your team and sort of express to those players that everyone on the ice deserved to be here and deserved to be on the team. Why was it important for you to sort of deliver that?
Well, I think it was important for me to just say, listen, I from my standpoint, everybody earned the right, because we are in first place right now with 20 games to go. And it's been done as a group, and everybody's, management, coaches, everybody recognizes the strength is our group, and how close they are, and how we play, and all that. So everybody, I said, if we end up adding someone, it'll just make us deeper and hopefully better. And if we don't, I'm very happy to stay with the team that we have, because of the fact that our strength is that group.
Well, the one thing everyone talks about is the power play. I'm sure this isn't the first time that you've heard about this. Yeah. If you were to acquire a player today, what type of player would slot nicely onto your power play?
Well, anybody who has some offense. No, I think probably someone who's had experience, obviously, at that. Someone who I think from our standpoint, who's not afraid to shoot. Sometimes I think we try to get a little too cute with our power play for the most part. Probably a little more of a shooter than a playmaker. I think we've got a sniper. But at the same time, we'll take anybody with playoff experience, because we feel that we still got some ways to go. But I think if we get there, that's going to be the thing, because the playoffs are a different animal than the regular season, and you'll find that certain players are able to step up and be able to deliver in the playoffs, and other guys just can't. And we're looking for guys who can do that and have that sort of pedigree.
Players who can thrive under the pressure that is the Stanley Cup playoffs. Well, you're coming off of winning a Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals. Has your approach to coaching changed at all with this group compared to the last one?
I think where we are with this group was similar to year one with the Caps 4 years ago. There were certain things that this team, I will say, didn't quite understand yet. Just as some things that the Cap team didn't understand 4 years ago. But they grew into it. They grew into understanding how that particular group has to play for that moment in their development as a group and a team. And then from there, the young players grew into bigger roles. A guy like Tom Wilson, who was a fourth-line energy guy, is now a first-line player. And we kept growing the foundation, but the foundations are always the same in terms of being predictable to your teammates, high work ethic and a high commitment, and an understanding of your role on the team. And if you have those in place and you have a foundation to work with, and then it's just a matter of executing what we set out to try to do.
Well, you have two goaltenders, not just one, but two that understand their role on the team. A lot of times in the media, we like to make a big deal out of who is the number one guy and who's the number two guy. Do you look at having two goaltenders rolling as an advantage or a disadvantage heading into the postseason?
Well, I think in our situation, it's probably an advantage. We can throw either or at most teams. They're a little bit, from a style standpoint, they're a little bit different. But at the same time, you look at the numbers, you look at how they've been able to get wins. They both have been excellent. We could have that advantage over some teams. We have the advantage of one guy who's having maybe a rough week or two. You can feel pretty secure.
Confident in both?
Yeah, you're confident in both, where some teams don't have that confidence, and I think that's an advantage. And I think for the most part we've we've gone with both. We've kept them, I'll say, ready and fresh, which can be an advantage over certain teams. I know goaltenders who are playing 60, 70 games a year. You get into the playoffs, that's another, hopefully if you go far, it's another 20 games. So,
do you think it benefited Holtby last year having played less games going in?
I think it did. I think I said this with our media about our goaltending. One of the things that happens, especially late in the year, is you play every second day. And if you have one goaltender, he gets in a rhythm and he plays. But things creep into your game. Those little details, just because you don't get a chance to practice them. And what you see a lot of times is the backup goaltender has a tighter game because he's spending more time with the goaltending coach working on his game. And the benefit of us going back and forth a little bit is that our goaltending department can really tighten up that guy who's not playing his game for a day or two, and then they're back in playing. And I think it's helped both goaltenders.
All right, one more for you before we let you go. Over under on how many trades are going to be made between now and the deadline. We're sitting at what time? It's like 10 after 12 right now. Let's take a guess. Prediction from Barry Trotz.
I think there's going to be, from this point on, or
yes,
counting the one.
Not counting the early ones.
I think there's going to be a dozen trades.
A dozen? Okay.
I think a dozen. There's I am going to say there's probably, there'll be a dozen. I'm going to say no more than a dozen.
A solid dozen. All right, listen, congratulations on a successful season so far, and thank you for this.
Thank you.